When we talk about video games, people often talk about graphics, story, or mechanics. But unless the game is a pure interactive movie or a pure visual novel, there's something more fundamental underneath all of those easy-to-see elements. That thing is game space. A game space is any environment where the player can act, move, make decisions, and interact with systems. So, not necessarily materialized, and the discipline of shaping that space, deciding how players move, what they see, and what they can do, is what we call level design. Now, quick warning, if you're the kind of gamer who might lose the ability to enjoy a game once you understand how it works, you might want to close this video right now, because once you see this, there is no going back. Alright, in this video, I'll evaluate level design using 3 simple criteria. Functional, does the space work? Usable, does it teach and support gameplay? Delightful, does it create meaningful engagement? And I'll apply this framework to 2 early game missions. The Pickup from Cyberpunk and Prison Escape from Dishonored, set in Cold Ridge Prison. Both are infiltration-style levels. Both introduce core mechanics, but they take very different approaches to how space teaches the player. Infiltration or entry. Let's start with how each level introduces its systems. In the Pickup, the player learns hacking by opening an apartment door. There's a tutorial prompt, and the action is straightforward. Scan, select, open. It works, it's clear, but it's also flat. There's no tension, no decision-making. You're not really using hacking, you're just executing it. Now compare that to Prison Escape. Early on, you enter a room with 3 guards. The game introduces stealth takedowns, lethal or non-lethal. But instead of telling you what to do, it gives you a situation. Enemies have positions. There are hiding spots. There are multiple angles of approach. And importantly, you learn not just what to do, but how space affects your options. This difference is significant. One teaches an action, the other teaches a system. Internal navigation. Next, let's look at how you move through the space. In the Pickup, the apartment is small with a few connected rooms. Navigation is extremely clear. Exits are visible. Paths are obvious. There's even a mini-map. You almost always know where to go next before entering a room. That's not necessarily bad. But it removes friction. There's very little need to read the space. There is one narrow corridor between enemy groups, but aside from that, the spatial structure feels quite flat. Now, look at Prison Escape. The prison is larger and more varied. You move through narrow corridors, open yards, and medium-sized rooms. There's no minimap. Most exits are visible, but not always immediately. Sometimes you need to turn a corner, choose between doors, or interpret the layout. This creates a light layer of uncertainty, not confusion, but engagement. Now, you could argue this comparison is unfair. Of course, a prison is more complex than an apartment. But that's not really the point. Even small spaces can introduce verticality, alternate paths, and occlusion. The issue isn't size. It's how space is used to create variation and choice, even within constraints. Encounter spaces. Next, let's talk about encounters. In the Pickup, enemies are mostly static. They stay in fixed positions with minimal patrol behavior. There is one scripted pair of enemies meant to teach stealth takedowns. But even here, the design is fragile. You don't have enough information to predict their movement. If you mistime your approach even slightly, combat starts immediately. And there's very little room to recover or adapt. After that, most encounters lean toward direct combat, or combat with light hacking support. Stealth exists, but the space doesn't strongly support it. In Prison Escape, things are different. Many enemies have patrol routes. They move through space and create timing-based opportunities. This allows for planning, observation, and intentional decision-making. If you enter combat, it's usually because you chose to. You rarely accidentally fail into it. Both games give you tools, but only one consistently gives you enough space to use them. Higher level comparison. Let's zoom out. In the pickup, the mission does support multiple approaches. You can use combat, stealth, or hacking. It's designed as a hybrid space, part gameplay, part narrative delivery. It uses environmental storytelling through emails, terminals, and notes. But the systems are not consistently reinforced through space. Affordances are less readable. Rooms can feel interchangeable. The structure itself is functional. You start with stealth, move into awareness, and then into combat and hacking. But the spatial design doesn't consistently deepen those systems. Now, look at Prison Escape. This level is clearly system first. Every space reinforces stealth and traversal. Constraints are visible and understandable. The layout supports multiple solutions. Even the narrative is delivered through overheard dialogue and environmental context, not just UI or text. The level has a clear hierarchy, with occasional ambiguity and strong affordances. You can climb, hide, observe, and plan. And crucially, you actually learn that you can do these things. Evaluation. Let's apply the framework. Functional. Both missions are functional. They work. They are navigable. They are coherent, usable. Both are usable, but differ in depth. The pickup teaches mechanics directly. Prison Escape teaches systems through space. Delightful. Both are visually strong and narratively interesting. But the pickup offers limited spatial engagement. Prison Escape creates ongoing systemic interaction. One important note. In a game like Cyberpunk, there are actually at least 2 layers of level design. Micro-level design, missions like the pickup, and macro-level design, the open world, Night City. This video focuses on the micro-level to make the comparison with Dishonored clear and fair. But it's worth noting that strong level design in Cyberpunk often exists in isolated missions, rather than being consistently embedded in the world itself. For macro-level design, we could compare Night City to something like Breath of the Wild, but that's a separate discussion. To be fair, Cyberpunk does contain strong systemic levels, but they are less consistent and often separated from the open world. Conclusion. So what's the real difference? Dishonored trusts level design to teach its systems. Cyberpunk often relies on scripting and narrative pacing instead. One builds systems into space. The other often places systems on top of space. If you're interested in this topic, I highly recommend analysing levels that left a strong impression on you. You can start with simple questions. How do they guide you? What options do they give you? What do they encourage or discourage? Because once you start seeing level design, you realise it's less about where you go and more about what you can do in a space. And again, there is no going back. Thanks for watching.